All right, Khan. Shalom, Israel, shalom to the Torah Yasha Allah. Giving, of course, all honor, glory, and praise unto the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, who the world calls Jesus Christ, man. All right. So, as you can see from the titles of the title of this video, we're going to be going into what are alms and how to give alms, right? Because essentially, alms is a big part, something that is seen in the Bible, a lot of different times. So we want to understand what alms are and how to give alms, because honestly, alms can save your life. That's what the Bible teaches. All right. So first off, we're going to get the definition of what the word alms even means. Right. So let's get the definition real quick, and I'm gonna pull it up on the screen right here. This real quick. So let's go to alms. All right. Let me share my screen. Let's go to alms. So this is the alms definition. It says in historical context, money or food given to poor people. So that's how the Oxford Dictionary translates the word alms, as money or food given to poor people. All right. Now, if you look at some of the similarities or the synonyms, it would say what? Gifts, donations, charity, handouts, bounty, benefaction, which is a blessing, contribution, offering. So, alms are pretty much all of these things. Another word for alm is a gift, right? So, or a present, or a donation, a charity, something that you want to give somebody. You're giving this either if it's in the form of money, or if it's in the form of food, water, clothing, things of that nature. These are all alms. And so you're giving it to somebody. You're not exactly respecting or expecting anything in return from them. That's what an alm is. You give somebody an alm, and you don't really expect anything in return in terms of them giving something back to you. All right. So that's essentially what that alm is. Now, let's kick it off with the book of Matthew, chapter 6, because first off, let's just get actually, let's go to Tobit first to kind of see what alms is talking about. Right. Let's go to the book of Tobit, chapter 4, and verse number. All right, hold on. Let's go to Tobit chapter 4 and verse number 5. It says, "My son, be mindful of the Lord our God all thy days, and let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress his commandments. Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness. If if thou do truly, thy doing shall prosperously succeed to thee, and to all them that live justly. Give alms to thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious, neither turn thy face from any poor, and the face of God shall not be turned away from thee." Now, let's really get what alms are. Let's go down to verse 11, right? Because we know we're about to, so like in this video, we're going to see what alms are, how to give them, and essentially why, right? Why would you give alms? What's the purpose of doing so? So first off, let's start with what are alms in the first place. Let's go to verse 11. "For alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the sight of the Most High." So alms essentially is a good gift. Okay, you give that gift to somebody that needs it. So essentially talking about what? Clothing. It could be clothing. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the classic. Let's go to Matthew chapter 25. All right. And let's see what verse I want to start at. I think maybe verse 30. Let's see here. Let's go to Matthew chapter 25 and verse number 35. It says, "All praise, for I was in hunger." It says, "For I was in hunger, and ye gave me meat." So that's the form of alms right there. Poor people, they don't have a lot of money. So, I mean, that's why they're classified as poor. So they may be living in, maybe they're homeless. You have a lot of poor people that are homeless, that can't really get a lot to eat, and so they're going to be hungry by default. The Lord said, "For I was hungered, and He gave me meat," meaning you gave me food to eat when I was hungry. That's a form of alms right there. It says, I was thirsty and he gave me drink. So when somebody's thirsty, you give him drink, right? You give them something to drink, maybe some water, maybe some juice, some tea, whatever it may be in righteousness, you give them of something to drink. That's a form of alms right there. It says what? I was a stranger and you took me in. Hey, that could also be a form of alms as well, because you're clothing them with a house, with a roof over their head, right? You're giving them somewhere to dwell at, you know. And we know this is also on a spiritual level as well, but I'm breaking it down more so on a physical, right? On a physical level, what are alms, how to give them, and why we do that. It says, verse 36, naked and he clothed me, I was sick and he visited me, I was in prison and he came unto me. Okay, it says naked and he clothed me. That's another form of alms, giving clothing. All right, giving clothing. So essentially, you know, let's go back to Tobit actually. Let's go to Tobit, right? Chapter 4. All right. Because again, alms is not just money. It could also be in the form, as we're reading right here, it can also be in the form of food and drink, or even clothing, or giving somebody a house to cover his shame. All right. Let's go to skip down to verse 15. It says, do that to no man which thou hatest, drink not wine to make thee drunken, neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey, give of thy bread to the hungry. So he's showing you what alms are, right? It says, give thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked. So Tobit is showing his son Tobias that, guess what? That's how you give alms, by giving food to the hungry and giving clothes to those that don't have clothes, right? It says, and according to thine abundance give alms, and let not thine eye be envious when thou givest alms. So you don't want your eye to be envious when you give alms as well. What does that mean? I'm gonna give alms to this brother because he looks cool, right? But to this brother, not really, right? Because he doesn't look as cool. The Lord said, let not thine eye be envious when thou givest alms. Or you might have certain people, they just want to give alms to rich people, right? Why would we want to give alms to rich people? We want to give alms to those that really need it. It says, and also Salaki, it says, according to thine abundance, give alms. So let's say you don't have a lot. Let's say you don't even have a lot to give in the first place. If you give according to that little, as he also says in the same chapter, give according to that little. Don't be afraid if you only have $5 to give that $5. Don't be afraid to do that. If you want to give somebody alms, right? You might be like, well, it's such a small donation. Who cares? That the fact is that you're trying to give even though you don't have a lot, right? It says, verse 17, pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked. And also, that's we're kind of going into how to give them. So since we already know what alms are, it's giving simply put, giving bread. And when I say bread, I mean food. So let's say, for example, let's put an example out there. There's a lot of accounts in Salakia. Hold on, I'm gonna close this window. Okay, come on. So Salakia, there's a lot of accounts of, you know, brothers, or not brothers necessarily, but sisters. They make sandwiches for the camp. So they might bring sandwiches. They might bring, certain brothers. They might have a cooler, and he brings Gatorades, Powerades, waters in the cooler. You know what I'm saying? And he passes that out to all the brothers that's laboring, especially in the summer. It gets hot out there, man. Brothers be faint. Brothers is reading loud. Brothers is shouting, shaking their hand. Hey, brothers is putting forth all their strength. So in order to replenish our strength, in order to essentially keep us going, because we're in this flesh. All right, brothers want to do a 24-hour camp. Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? The flesh may not allow it. Even though the brother might have the spirit to do so, the flesh might not allow it. Brothers getting tired 3, 4, 5 hours in. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we have an 8. We're giving forth all our strength. Brothers' throats might be hoarse, so that's why sisters might give alms like that, sandwiches, making sandwiches, making giving drinks, right? The waters, especially. So that's a good form of alms right there. That's a good form of alms. All right. It says, pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, all right, but give nothing to the wicked. So we don't want to give anything to the wicked, all right? And that's kind of going into how to give them, because you don't want to just give your alms, your substance, to anybody. Okay, let's go to the book of Sirach, right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 12, and verse number 1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it, so shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits. So you want to, when you're going to do good, you're going to give your alms. You don't want to just give it to anybody. You want to think about, all right, is this person really, not worthy per se, but are they, should I give them my substance? Should I give them alms? Right? What are they doing to deserve such thing? Right? Let's keep going. It says, do good to the godly man and help Slakia, and thou shalt find a recompense, and if not from him, yet from the Most High. So, namely, we want to do good to the godly man, right? Let's go to the book of right. Let's go to Tobit chapter 2, all right, and let's go to let's start at verse 1. All right, I'm sorry, verse 1. It says, now when I was come home again, and my wife Anna was restored unto me, with my son Tobias in the feast, right, of Pentecost, which is the holy feast of 7 weeks, there was a good dinner prepared me, in the which I sat down to eat. And when I saw abundance of meat, I said to my son, go and bring what poor man soever thou shalt find of our brethren. So, namely, you want to give your alms to your brethren. That money, that you have, that spare change that you might have, that food that you might want to give out, the drinks, the clothing, the raiment, the housing, the alms. When you want to give alms, you want to give it to your brethren. You want to give it to your people. All right. It says, because that's what our forefathers did. All right. It says, thou shalt find out of our brethren who is mindful of the Lord, who is mindful of the Lord. All right. And lo, I tarry for thee. Right. And lo, I tarry for thee. Slakia. Verse 3. But, Slakia, I want to touch on that. Who is mindful of the Lord. So you want to give them to who is mindful of the Lord. All right. If that person who you're trying to give alms to, right? If that person who you're trying to give alms to has no care for the Most High, should you really give him alms? If you're about to give him a Jake $5 and he's saying, yeah, F the Lord, I don't care about that. I don't care about that Bible stuff. And he's just saying, and he's just cursing out the Lord. Just cursing out the Lord. And I mean, should you really give him that $5? No, man. I'm not giving you $5 and you're cursing the name of the Lord right in my face, man. Just saying, hey, F the Lord. I don't care about that Bible. You kind of let's say you bring out the Bible and say, hey, brother, let me give you a precept. And he says, he slaps the Bible out my hand. I am not giving you a cent, man. Right? I'm not helping you in your wickedness. Right? Let's say a brother, he comes up to you. Obviously, this brother's on drugs, right? He's homeless. I mean, it's unfortunate. But let's say obviously he's on drugs, man. You could tell, you could smell it on him, right? You could see it on him. You could see that he, is skinny, and he's just down bad, and he's asking you, hey, let me hold on to 10, let me hold on to $5, let me get $1. He could be asking for anything, any amount of cent or type of money, right? But here's the thing, if you know undoubtedly that he's on drugs, if you give him $20, he's not going to go down to the store and get him some food. Usually 9 times out of 10 people that's addicted to drugs, that's homeless, when they get money, they really would rather choose to do those drugs that they're fiending after, and with that money, instead of actually paying for food and for drink and for raiment and things necessary for survival, as it says in the book of Sirach. All right. But they'll rather spend that money on getting high or getting some drugs. Right. So if you know that to be the case with this brother, you have to use wisdom, right? You have to use your discernment. You want to be wise about who you give your alms to, who you're giving your substance to. Okay, let's keep going to inside rack real quick. Um, if you know that to be the case, don't give it to him. He's literally asking you, "Let me borrow $20," and you literally just saw him smoke some crack or some weed. Are you going to give him that $20? No, I'm not going to afford your wickedness, brother. I'm not going to give you an occasion to sin. I don't want to be a worker of iniquity. Let's go to Sirach chapter 12 and verse number 4. Actually, I was from verse 3. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil. So the man that's always occupied in evil, right? That would be undoubtedly Esau. He's always occupied in evil. In fact, it says in the Bible that essentially, Esau, he can't sleep. All right, he's not going to go to sleep before he causes sun to fall. So before he can even go to sleep, he has to devise a wicked plan against the Israelites. He has to do some type of wickedness, or else if he doesn't, he can't go to sleep. Just like how we can't go to sleep without praying to the Most High God. Guess what? He can't go to sleep without making somebody to fall, right? Causing some wickedness in the earth, without drinking some baby blood or something like that. He can't go to sleep. All right. Sirach chapter 12, verse 3. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms. So if we don't give alms, then how can we be good in the sight of the Lord? And again, this is not just physical. All right. This is also spiritual as well. But I wanted to make this video namely about the physical. Maybe I can make a part 2 going into the spiritual meaning behind alms. And essentially, the spiritual meaning behind alms are, if we're giving bread, right? If we're getting bread to the hungry, if we're giving raiment, which are clothing, to those that are naked, and if we're giving drink to those that are thirsty, and we're giving housing to those that are homeless, essentially, and these are on a physical level. Essentially, what it is on the spiritual is essentially, to be summed up in one word, is giving them the truth, right? Teaching them this truth, giving them the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. That's essentially what spiritual alms are. Every time we go into the highways and byways and we're teaching our people, right? We're bringing them back to the fold. We're bringing them back to their nationality. We're bringing them back to the Most High God, in the name of His Son Yahushua. Essentially, we're giving out spiritual alms, right? But nevertheless, in this video, I want to touch on the physical, all right? Because the physical cannot be neglected either, all right? It says, and we could all give more alms, right? I can give more alms. You could give more alms, all right? Let's do good to the godly, all right? It says, Salakia, verse 4, give to the godly man and help not the sinner. So Sirach was saying, look, you want to give to the godly man, don't help the sinner. Because the sinner, again, man, what is the sinner going into? Because, we all go off. The sinner in this context is talking about a person that is leading a sinful life. He does not want to change his ways. He does not believe in the Most High. All right? And he's just all around wicked. Why would we want to give him, right, our substance? Why would we want to do good to him? We can give him the truth. But in terms of bringing him into our house, that's a no-go. In terms of giving my clothes to him when he's being wicked as hell and cursing out the name of the Lord, I'm not going to do that to you, man. I'm going to give this jacket to those that actually is a little bit more mindful of the Lord, right? Salakia. Verse 5, do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. So you don't want to give good to the ungodly, because the ungodly, he could overmaster you. Let's say you bring this ungodly man into your house. Next thing you know, you wake up and he's standing over your bed with a knife in his hand, and then boom, that's it. Lights out. Right? God forbid that ever happens to any one of us. But essentially, there's an account to that. There are literally real life accounts of, there was his brother. You can look this up too. There was his brother that worked at, I think it was Taco Bell, something like that. And he let this man into his house. You know, this man, I guess he didn't have a residence at the time. So he let this other dude into his house, and he was staying the night and things of that nature. And I'm not sure how long he was there, but the Jake that let that guy into his house, he said essentially, all right, it's time for you to go, right? But the man didn't want to leave. And essentially what happened is that Jake ended up dying. The Jake literally ended up being killed by this guy that he let into his own home. All right. So essentially, that's why we want to listen to these scriptures, man. Right? It says, hold back thy bread and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. And that's, there are real life accounts of that. You want to be sure, because through people wanting to help, through people, that's why people don't really want to help others, right? In this wicked world, because you got wicked people out here. No matter all the help you might give them, they don't give two F's. They don't care. They will actually reward your kindness for evil, right? And that's what they did to our Lord as well. That's what they did to David. All right. They have rewarded me evil for my kindness, man. All right. But again, verse 7. I'm going to skip down to verse 7. Give unto the good and help not the sinner. So we don't want to help the sinner in the last days. And again, that word sinner, going into a person leading that sinful life, not somebody that's trying to live a good life, not someone that's trying. That's different. Someone that does not care at all, right? So let's go to the book of, right? Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse number 7. This is Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 7. There is that maketh himself rich, yet have nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet have great riches. So the Lord said, there is that maketh himself rich, yet have nothing. So there are brothers that, or there's people essentially that make themselves rich, yet they don't have anything. Because you could be rich in this world, man. You can have thousands, you can have millions of dollars, right? You could be rich, you could have a yacht, you can have a 12-car garage, you can have 12 cars, you can have a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, you know, you can have any of these things. You can have the best technology that there is. There is that making themselves rich, yet have nothing. Yet you don't have anything, because you don't have the Most High God. You don't have the Most High God, you don't have anything. All this other stuff, let's go to that real quick in Mark chapter 8. All right. And I believe I wanted verse 36. All right. What should it profit a man if he gained the whole world? Salaki, don't have it in here. Salaki. Let's go to Mark chapter 8 and verse 56. I mean, Salaki, 36. It says, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his own soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. So essentially, the point I want to touch on is the Lord said, what would you give in exchange for your soul? Your soul is priceless, right? Your soul is priceless. You in this truth is priceless. You yourself, your spirit is priceless. Why would you exchange that for anything in this world, right? Essentially, even when you go to the book of Proverbs, the Lord talks about how unimportant money is. The greatest man who walked the earth, this is what he said, or Salakia, the richest man, one of the richest and most wisest men that ever walked the earth. This is how he viewed money. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness deliver from death. All right, Proverbs 11 verse 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath. They don't profit us. So at the end of the day, you could be rich in this world, but at the end of the day, it's not going to profit you when the Most High God, right, is angry at you. Can't give, like how the brother Nakwan says, you can't give, you can't give the angels $5 or any type of money. It doesn't matter. They don't care about that. All right. They don't care about these things. They don't care about money like how men cares about money. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel. All right. 7. I think I went 7 in verse 19. This is Ezekiel 7 and verse number 19. All right. Ezekiel 7 verse 19. Salakia. It says, they shall cast their silver in the streets. So you literally have a prophecy going into the fact that people are going to be throwing money in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. So their silver, again, it says their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. So no amount of money is going to be able to save anybody. All right. But essentially, let's go to Proverbs 13, verse 7. Again, it says, there is that maketh himself rich, yet have nothing. So again, you have some people that are rich in this world, yet they still don't have anything. They're still sad. They're still void of purpose. They're void of this shemai, this shalom that we have in this truth, this peace that we have in this truth. They're void of that. It says there is that making themselves poor, yet have great riches. So there's people that make themselves poor, yet they have great riches nevertheless. The Lord said that we're rich, right? Did he not say that? Though we're poor, he said that we're rich. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. Classic. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty. All right? Because the real Israelites are in poverty right now. But thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Let's go to the book of James chapter 2. James chapter 2 and verse number 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he had promised to them that love him? So the Lord, he chose the poor of this world that's rich in faith. They're not rich in dollar bills. They're not rich in that. They're rich in faith. They might be rich in spirit. You understand? They're rich in the fact that they have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord. They're rich in the fact that they believe in the Most High. That's what they're rich in. And the fact that they're heirs to the kingdom of heaven. You understand? The kingdom of God is within them. That's how they're rich. Not rich according to what this world says. Who cares about that, man? At the end of the day, yeah, we want to be, we want to be, you don't want to be impoverished. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. You don't want to be so poor that you can't get anything to eat. You can't, you understand? There's no way of living, right? Because let's go to Proverbs. There's a balance. You want to be balanced in this thing. You want to pray to the Lord that he gives you balance. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 30 and verse number 2. It says, surely I am more brutish than any man, right? Actually, let me skip down to verse 7. 2 things have I required of thee. Deny me not them before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. So you don't want to have poverty, extreme poverty. When you're living in extreme poverty, it's just, that's the worst, right? That's the worst. You can't get anything to eat, ain't no food. So the water's bad. You can't drink the water. There's no food to eat, right? So what you gonna do? You're gonna start stealing. You're gonna start killing. You're gonna start, you know what I'm saying, disobeying the words of the Lord, because you can't do nothing. You know, it says, give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. You want to have food that's convenient for you. All right. When that means food, that means essentially your bread, your water, clothing, raiment. You want to be content. You don't want to have too much. You don't have too little. That's that balance. And again, that's why it says there is that maketh itself poor. Yeah. Because you can make yourself poor. The Lord said in the book of Sirach, what's this, 20? Oh yeah, so like 29 and verse number 8. Let's get that real quick. This is Sirach chapter 29, verse 8. Yet have thou patience with a man in poor estate, and delay not to show him mercy. Help the poor for the commandment's sake, and turn him not away because of his poverty. Lose thy money for thy brother and thy friend, and let it not rust under a stone to be lost. So you want to lose. The Lord said, lose thy money for thy brother and thy friend. Instead of spending it on, let's say, something you don't need, instead of spending it on, right, vanity, folly. Hey, the new Jordans that's coming out. But you already have 5 pairs of Jordans, brother. Why do you got to spend $200 plus for the new pair? You already got, when you could have used some of that money towards this brother that's in need. It says, lose thy money for thy brother and thy friend, and let it not rust under a stone to be lost. Lay up thy treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. You see that? So essentially, we keep the commandments and we lay up treasure. All right. The Lord talks about that in the book of Matthew chapter 6. He said, lay up treasure in heaven, right? Where neither moth doth corrupt, neither the thief cannot break through nor steal. Roughly paraphrasing. When you lay up treasure in the third heaven, nobody can break into that bank. Nobody is not like it's not like Wells Fargo, where the money just disappears, or somebody stole it. It's secure up there. It says, lay up thy treasure according to the commandments of the Most High. That's how you lay up treasure. It says, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. Shut up alms in thy storehouses, and it shall deliver thee from all affliction. It shall fight for thee against thine enemies, better than a mighty shield and strong spear. So essentially, these alms, they're going to be used to help deliver you in the day of evil. All right, that's how important these alms are. All right. So essentially, what are alms? Alms are any type of, as the definition even said, money. It could be in the form of money. It could be in the form of food, raiment, a house to cover shame, and things of that nature on a physical level. You want to give it to the poor that is mindful of the Lord, that's sincere, right? You don't want to give, you don't want to give it to the drug addict, all right? And if you want to give to the drug addict, if the Lord, if the Spirit is calling you to do so, then give him some food, give him some water. If they deny that, hey, guess what? You tried your best, right? We're not finna give you some weed. That's not, we're not going to do that. God forbid. All right. And essentially, who to give them to or how to give them, right? You want to give them preferably to the godly man, to the godly woman, right? First and foremost, because they are actually trying to serve Yahweh B'Shem Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. All right. So all praise to Yahweh Yahweh Shah. Lord willing, this video was edifying onto you. The water for tuning in. Call me Asha Allah. Shalom.